creating a podcast. No, John Mottram, creating a podcast, it's a virtue. Creating a podcast, it's a virtue. John Mottram.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, members, honoured guests. I'm going to talk to you this evening about loyalty. Can everybody hear me by that? Just raise your hand when you can't hear me. By a show of hands, who in this room believes loyalty is a virtue? Nearly all of you. In fact, probably all of you raised your hands. Like you, I agree. Loyalty is a virtue. But it does have its troubles. Take, for example, you go to a new employer and your boss sits you down and he says to you, loyalty here is very important. I hope I can rely upon your loyalty. I hope I can rely upon your loyalty. And you've had that sudden feeling that he's asking for some kind of insurance policy, such that if he acts in a way of low integrity or low trustworthiness, or in some poor behavior, or the organization does, he definitely wants your loyalty, that you're going to stand up beside him and you're going to defend him and the company. Loyalty. Of course, it could have gone somewhat different on that first day. Your boss could have sat you down and said, I'm looking for integrity. Integrity in this organization is very important. I rely upon the integrity of all of our staff to make sure that we as a company provide the kind of service and the values to our employees so that we can hold our heads high. I'm looking for integrity. Wouldn't that be something good to hear? The Greeks and the Romans didn't speak about loyalty. Aristotle never wrote about loyalty, and so we have really very little to go on. The definition of loyalty is simply a strong feeling of allegiance. So if you were a member of a crime family and you were loyal to that crime family, and you defended that crime family, that wouldn't make you a more virtuous person. That would just make you probably a very much more effective criminal. And so when we talk about loyalty, surely we have to add this dimension to it. A showing of high moral value. A couple of weeks ago, I was watching America's Sweetheart, the Netflix series, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. I wasn't particularly interested. My wife had insisted on watching, and I said I would join her to watch it. And after a very exciting 30 minutes watching these young, rather pure women do their thing, Jerry Jones suddenly appears on Netflix. And without any preamble or preparation, he states that the most important thing to him is a person's loyalty to the Dallas Cowboys organization. And I wondered, where did this come from? We were talking about the cheerleaders, and a kind of a icky feeling went through me. Was he preparing me for something that somehow there was something to be revealed about his relationship with the cheerleaders, or the relationship of the cheerleaders with some other members of the organization? But he certainly didn't make me feel that he was saying this from some virtuous high ground. Sounded like, once again, he was preparing us all that if anything happened within his organization, the number one thing was you had to defend the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, and his family. Loyalty, is it a virtue? Now, for loyalty to be a virtue, in my opinion, it exists when you're part of an organization which is advancing worthy goals, higher levels of integrity, higher levels of trustworthiness, the greater good. So, for example, President Putin, who gets loyalty from important members in his country, does it by giving large amounts of wealth to a few people, so that when he acts in a criminal way against his citizens and against other citizens of other countries, he knows he can rely upon those people to defend him and speak in his support. That's what he calls loyalty. That's not what I call loyalty. You should be allowed to make your own free judgment as to whether something meets the standard of integrity, trustworthiness, honesty that you set for yourself. Take Don Corleone, the Godfather, where loyalty to la familia was the most important thing to Don Corleone. And if you dared to betray that family, do you think you had free choice to express it? Of course not. You were rubbed out in an instant. So loyalty to Don Corleone is not what I'm talking. Finally, to support a worthy friend when they're in trouble. Let's suppose, for example, you had a very good friend that was arrested for shoplifting, convicted and was about to be sentenced. You knew this person. You knew this person had done some wonderful things, many wonderful things for many people over a long period of time. They were remorseful. They accepted the punishment that was coming their way. They couldn't even explain why they did it. And you would have no trouble, and should have no trouble, telling your friends and family that you were going to go down to that courthouse and you were going to tell that judge what a wonderful person this was, even though their behavior had fallen below a standard that you would not have for yourself. That's what I call loyalty. So in wrapping up, my friends, how many of you in here want to lead a more virtuous life? Well, apparently less people than really. So if it's true, we all want to lead a more virtuous life. When discussing loyalty in future, be careful not to raise your hand so soon, since loyalty really must be a virtue. It must have worthy goals. It must allow you to make your judgment freely without pressure from other people. And it must encourage you to help your friends when they're in trouble. Thank you.